It's time to clear the mechanism, free the mind. We need to be light on our feet to look good, feel good. Today's guest, former professional hockey player, model, author, actor, influencer, micro-influencer, now partnered with Embassy Row with his podcast, No Gruffs Given. He's a wonderful husband and father. Today's guest, Sean Avery. Welcome to the Are We Chill podcast.
What's going on, fellas? I like that. I like the micro-influencer. I like that.
You know, I had to do my homework, man. And, you know, I know you guys just did a trip. I don't know if that was recently, you and Hillary, and you guys went to that hotel and they paid you to be there, right? So.
Yeah, that was the other way. That wasn't towards you guys. That was going up.
North.
Yeah, north.
The reason I brought to my attention, family, our parents, we didn't tell you this before, they live in Solvang. So up in that area by San Ynez and Santa Barbara, our parents live there. They have a ranch up there. So.
And how big is the town that they live in?
It's like a small Danish town, and there's just wineries and antique shopping boutiques. You guys love it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think I'm working on, we'll see how you ever heard of Oroville?
Is it up that way?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, it's a California town that basically has said they've just gone back to normal. They're not recognizing any of the mandates. That COVID doesn't exist in Oroville, California.
Yeah, no, it's great. No, we'll have to get you up that way. It's beautiful in that town of Solvang. So how's everybody doing? How's the wife? How's your son? And how's it been since COVID? And how's it been acclimated in LA? And I don't know, is it post-COVID yet, Sean? What would you say we're in right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really live in like I would say COVID doesn't exist for me, with the exception of, like, I guess some things, like I'm going to go to the LA Kings game on Wednesday night. They're going to play the Leafs, and you have to wear a mask in the arena. That's what I've been told. Well, no, I know, because I've been to I went to one game this year, and I got in there and I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't have a mask on. I didn't wear a mask. So it depends where you are, right? Like, I think I don't really live like COVID exists anymore, but sometimes I just get sucked into it. Like, I've stopped. I don't wear a mask when I go into stores. And I'm in LA, like I'm in 90210. It's much different. You guys are in Orange County. You guys are that's like you got a wave of red down there. Here, it's all fucking hardo Democrats. I don't wear a mask anywhere. Everyone is wearing masks. I mean, there's still people here that wear masks outside. So I have no idea if it's over, Yeah. I don't know.
And you've had it, you, Hillary, and Nasher have had it, right? And now you guys are immune, right? So.
Yeah, we had it. We had it when we got it the week we moved out here. We got it. So I'm assuming we got it on the plane, probably. Yeah. So we're good. I still get my antibodies tested like every 6 weeks usually, and I still got them. So, I'm assuming, I guess it's interesting because one side of the audience that won't admit that you can actually obtain immunity. That side also won't admit that natural immunity via infection is much more, well, it protects you against COVID, and the vaccine doesn't. So it's just a fact. I mean, I think it's the humorous lens that you can look through the world if you just like can sit back and actually not get upset by it. It's fucking wild. Yeah, we're living in a wild time, man.
You probably, Sean, didn't realize it, but for me personally, there were some dark times, dude. I mean, mental health is a big thing. We talk about it a lot on the pod, and I can't imagine some people being stuck in their homes for the last 2 years. I personally would go on walks listening to your podcast, and it was kind of like a relief listening to you saying, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is going on? I'm like, okay, good. I'm not alone. There's people out there that are going through the same shit,
Yeah. I think Well, listen, when this all shakes up at some point or shakes out, we'll see the numbers uh, of how deadly this pandemic has been outside of COVID. Like people not having operations, people at home that have gone into dark fucking places. A lot of people, there's a big portion of those people have taken their own life. Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with, like, we're in a criminal fucking state now. We're in a criminal state, as in this whole country. I mean, it's criminal. It's being run by criminals. People have to be outside. You have to work to feel good. You have to see your friends and family. Like, it's wild. It's wild. I'll tell you, I think the only good thing I can take out of it is I feel like even some of the people that I think I would consider blind are starting to see things. I mean, I just don't know how you could, I don't know how you could.
Yeah. And, kind of transitioning to the hockey piece of everything, that's a good gateway to get your mind off all the crap that's going on in the world right now, and certainly love watching you and what you're doing on Instagram with your stories and the lightning and all that stuff, your commentary, speaking of that, TNT, they got their new crew, pretty hard to watch, between watching some of the guys on that. And, Biz he's entertaining, but his suit game's a little off. You mentioned that. Talks talk, but why the fuck aren't you on there? And I would love to see a guy like Sean Avery on that panel. So can you speak a little bit to that, Sean? Because we'd love that. The brothers here.
Yeah. I mean, I think, so look, I think everybody, this is what we were thinking, right? Everyone was excited that we were getting out of the NBC deal and excited for the future. What does that hold? Like, it's going to be an upgrade, no question. And I think part of the reason we were thinking that is seeing the success that the NBA on TNT has had, right? Those guys are incredible. What we see now, what you can understand is, and there's some people that'll say, oh, it's good. I mean, it's better than what we had. Like, yeah, of course it's better than what we've had. But what you can see is that the whole NBA, Shaq, Barkley, those guys, that's lightning in a bottle. That's an anomaly. That doesn't happen in network television. So ESPN, I don't even know what they did. I have a vet, like, I think I know that Messier works there, and there's some people, Chelios is there. I haven't seen any of those guys do anything yet. I did hear Leah Hextall calling a game the other night, which, I was fucking shocked. Like, I didn't really think how far this whole woke thing has gone. And by the way, I just saw today that the NHL is now, there's female referees in the American League. Here's what I'll say to this whole thing, okay? I love equality. I've got a long history of loving equality. Absolutely. You can't fucking debate me on that. But when it hurts the game, and let's take female referees as an example. Hey, if there's a female referee that's going to be able to keep up with the game and physically have no difference whatsoever than her male counterparts, then great. Prove me wrong. Totally open to it. I think it would be actually amazing to have female referees, a totally new perspective on the game. I worry that they're not going to be able to keep up physically. Mm-hmm. The other part of that, Leah Hextall, and she sent me a DM the next day saying it's my voice. And I wrote back to her and I said, first I made a joke. I was like, listen, I'm going to need you to lean into those calls a little bit more. And then I told her, I said, the tone of your voice isn't an issue if I can hear passion and excitement. Like, if you're in love with what you're doing and you're fucking into the game, I don't hear the tone in your voice. So then she wrote back, well, I've had men telling me to keep my tone inside a box for 15 years. And like, that's where you lose me right away. Cause like, I maybe that is true, but it's the last thing that I want to hear, that men have been telling you to stay in a box. Like, I said, fuck men. What do you care what men say? Like, you've obviously done something pretty special to get where you are, where you are right now. I'm telling you now, it's not good. I don't care what anyone says to you. It's not good. All right. And maybe I'm the only one that'll tell you that. So that's the whole ESPN thing. The TNT thing, what I do know now, and I talked to Gretz a couple of times, like as the process was starting, because I had, I think I went through like the first round with TNT, which was basically a 15-minute phone call. What I know now is that 100% Gretz was going to get one of his guys on there. His guys being the first choice, Brett Hall. They said no to Hall.
Really?
They didn't want Hall. I don't know if that comes from Bettman or if that comes from TNT, because in my opinion, Hall would have been a great choice alongside Gretz. Yep. Now, when Hully did it way back in the day, he was surrounded by slugs. So you couldn't even get a it was a totally different thing. So Gretz doesn't get Hully. So then he goes to Talk. Now Talk and Gretz go way back. I mean, Talk and Janet Gretzky, I think were investigated by the FBI for like a fucking, I don't even know, a betting thing that they were doing, whatever. They've been longtime friends. So then you got the host, who, the guy's not interesting. I don't really know him, but whatever. But I'll say this. This is where they fucked up. They should have had Aaron Andrews as the host, because now you get to check off your minority box, right? And then if they really want to do it right, you go Gretz, Holly, Biz, and myself.
Absolutely.
Now, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have done it, because I at that point, I didn't know what the schedule was going to be. I didn't know that they were going to have Wednesday games, which I think is a weird, it was a weird night for them to get. I wouldn't have done it if it was Wednesday games, because that's the only thing you can do. You can't do another job. I couldn't, do a movie. I couldn't do anything, because I'd have to be in Atlanta on Wednesdays. Now, I don't think I'm basically certain that I would have never got hired, now that I see what they did. Now then, coming to the whole Anson Carter thing, if you had Aaron Andrews, you've checked one box. Would they have still had to have gone with a former Black NHL player? I don't know. What I do know is that when I critique Anson Carter, I'm not critiquing him based on his skin color. I'm critiquing him based on his execution, and it's not good. And I think whoever the producer is, maybe they're getting their feet wet, but it's fucking awful. I mean, anytime I've gone on and looked at it, they're either shooting rubber pucks at Charles Barkley, or they're shooting it on a fucking target in a net. Like, this isn't what we want to see. And I think that there's a lot of fans that are even beyond that, where we're not saying, oh, this is great, it's so much better. I think a lot of us are saying it's a missed opportunity. I want to hear these guys breaking down the game and analyzing the game. I don't want them playing this network television bullshit, because Shaq and Barkley don't do it. So it's sort of a long way to summarize and answer it, but that's kind of my whole take on the thing.
Dave's Corey here. Happy to have you on. Happy to have you on, man. So thanks for touching on that, but I want to get into your playing career real quick, and the fact that you did everything you could to stand out. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, you have to stand out in some way to have a full-time fucking job in the NHL. You were a good hockey player, but what you did was you got in everyone's fucking head. I mean, let's go back to you with Brodeur. I mean, those nights, and NYC fucking loved you. The Rangers loved you, and the fans as well. So, I mean, let's go back. I mean, it's a very conservative NHL today. I mean, you don't get a lot of Sean Averys in the game these days. And the most entertaining hockey was that. Everyone looked forward to those games when you were playing, because there was always something was going to happen and come up. You love that. So do you think the NHL is missing you and a guy like Sean Avery, or would it not work out if there was a guy like you in the NHL right now?
No, I think what they've done is they've actually created a more interesting product from just a pure skill and goal standpoint. You know, to see like McDavid the last 2 weeks, he scored 2 goals that arguably, maybe 2 of the greatest goals I've ever seen. Like from a sheer breakdown standpoint and skill and difficultness, how those 2 goals, unheard of. So yeah, the game is much more vanilla and no one hits anyone, right? Like, which is why you see a lot of these goals being scored. There was a goal scored the other night. I can't remember. I was just talking to somebody about it. I can't remember. But anyways, this guy would have been dead 10 years ago. He wouldn't have been dead. 10 years ago, he would have been taken off on a stretcher. 15 years ago, he would have been dead. So the game doesn't even look like what it used to. It looks nothing like it. Now, the good news is that at least for 2 months out of the season, playoffs, we get to see they fall back to that old school style as much as they possibly can inside the rules. So, I don't think it's a better product today. I think it's better skilled players playing. Parity is like across the board. I think it was more interesting of a game to watch, 15 years ago for sure. Do I think that there'll ever be somebody that comes along that has the, chutzpah to kind of go against the grain? I don't know. But if he did, and if he could play, he would stand out. Like, I don't know if they would let it, I don't know. I don't even know if you could pull it off, you'd have to be pretty headstrong. You'd have to be somebody, I guess, like myself, who just truly like doesn't give a fuck, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you would call it, but I hope we can see it. Because I certainly, if I was running a team, I would say to my scouts every year, like, I want you to find me a Sean Avery. And, I know buddies that run teams that have said that, and scouts say to them, like, that doesn't exist anymore, that type of thing. So I don't know.
To that point, so like I said, we're in Orange County, Sean. We go to a lot of the Ducks games down here. So we were just at a game where Zagrass, they have so many talented young guys on this team. They're very exciting to watch this year. Zagrass got absolutely fucked up against Montreal the other day. His head got driven into the boards, and I think he got a concussion from that. That would never happen, in 02, 03 when you were playing, and in years to come. I mean, that's just how different it is. To that point, what is the state of hockey today? Like, we've been talking about it, but you're hearing old boys club, you're hearing, the same old shit, the old regime. You see what happened in Chicago. Like, what is the state? Is Bettman to blame? Like, what is the state of hockey in your opinion? Is it too soft? Was it tougher when you were playing?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, we're seeing a lot of these guys that are going down. I know Bob Murray, like, who knows what the fuck went on there, or what the real story is going to be. But yeah, you're kind of seeing the passing of the torch, right? Here's the issue with that. If the torch gets passed to 30 Kyle Dubises, you're going to be in a tough spot. Okay. Now, we're also seeing a lot of guys that I think are great for the game succeeding right now. Rob Brindamore or not Yzerman in Detroit, who will at some point, has been, obviously. Even a guy like Andrew Brunette, who he's coaching somewhere, a team in the NHL. I don't even know who, but I saw him on a bench. Oh, maybe he took over for the guy in Florida. Andrew Brunette is an old school guy. Like, that's exciting, right? Do I think that the game could be a game that was worth a few more $1 billion a year? Absolutely. Do I think that'll happen under Bettman? No, I don't. And only because I think Gary his approach is ultra conservative, return on investment to owners year after year, not a drastic amount, but just steady Eddie. You know what I mean? It sucks because I think the game could actually probably challenge the UFC for, football is always going to be football because of the betting aspect of it. But just from a pure excitement standpoint, I think that hockey is that. So, yeah, I think Gary, it comes from the top. Let me just put it that way. All these decisions come from the top. There's influence from Bettman and Daly on everything around the game, from the owners in Seattle to everything. So we'll see.
So Sean, you brought up Yzerman, and I'm going to touch on your book at some point in this episode, but I want to bring up, I mean, you talked a lot about the Red Wings team you were on in your book. I mean, Scotty Bowman was a guy that he's one of your favorites. I mean, you had a dynasty team you were a part of when you were younger. What did you learn from being a part of a team like that with all those all-stars and, being on that run with them and winning the cup?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I took from it was that great coaches are usually the least overbearing type of coach. Great coaches understand that great teams coach themselves to a certain extent. So I saw the right way at the beginning, and then I went into a lot of situations where I had the wrong way. But Scotty was incredible. And then to talk about that team was incredible. I mean, I think that team was the best. I think that that's the best team in the history of NHL franchises, just from a lineup standpoint. I mean, maybe we could find a team or Canadians in the 70s, or I think Detroit had 11 Hall of Famers on the team, or soon to be Hall of Famers. I think it'll end up being 11 to 12 guys. I mean, Hall, Robitaille, Shanahan, you had those three are definitely, I think those three are in the top 8, 10 in goal scoring, maybe ever. Maybe Shanny's not there. Fucking Lidstrom, Hasek. God, I mean, the greatest checking line in the history of the NHL with the grind line. So many. Datsuk, Zetterberg, rookie Datsuk, rookie Zetterberg. Like,
yeah, crazy.
Fucking team was stacked, so stacked. So yeah, I mean that seeing that was, yeah, wild. What an opportunity for sure.
And then you were with the Cincinnati Ducks as well. Obviously we know the Ducks well here. I mean, what was that like? Was Babcock coaching you on that team? What was Babs like? And then going into that, and Jiggy as well.
Yeah, we split the franchise was Detroit and Anaheim, and Babs was our coach. He was fucking totally out of his mind. It was his first year coaching professional. He was insane. He was fucking insane. But I got to tell you, I loved him. I mean, I think I had 360 penalty minutes as a rookie. Like, and I played every game, and like, I loved Babs. I don't think there would ever have been a coach that would have let me do the shit that I was doing in the American League as a rookie, like Babs. He became a bit of a monster as time went on because he's an insane egomaniac. And I think that it just got the best of him a little bit. And, part of that is because he didn't play in the NHL. That's the only downside, I think, with Babs. I think if he had been an NHL player, he'd have a little different element to his coaching that would make him one of the best coaches ever. But yeah, it was an interesting, that league back then was different too. And yeah, Jiggy was our goalie. He was a little bit up and down. So, we'd be lucky when we had him. I think he went up and down a little bit. Yeah, a couple of crazy fucking Russians that Anaheim had picked, like high picks, like 6, 7 overall, that never played like 10 games or something. They had some bad picks back then. McNabb, I think McNabb was the general manager. His dad was a general manager. Yeah, we had fun though. We had fun, that's for sure.
Yeah, Jiggy's a close friend here. He's a family friend of mine, and the boys as well.
Does he still live out there?
No, he's in Montreal right now.
Yeah, he's very, he's French, right? Like
yes, he is.
They love Quebec. That's just the way they are.
He's a good man. And you know what? At that time when he was playing with you, he came from Calgary to the organization. He was having a rough time, and then in 2003, he put the team on the map, and then off he went.
Yeah.
But I want to bring up, like, you lived in NYC, you lived in LA in your playing career. You went to some fun parties. You met all sorts of celebrities being in both cities. What was that like, the lifestyles of both? And just, I want to hear some crazy shit you got into with everything. Any good stories?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, I got very lucky, and I embraced both markets. That's for sure. I almost wish I had played in New York first and then been able to play in LA versus LA and then New York. But I'm not gonna complain about getting that lucky and playing in both those cities. I remember LA. I remember my first like real Hollywood party, and it was Christian Slater and his I think his ex-wife now basically tried to have a threesome with me. Oh, and I'm not sure if Christian Slater was, I don't know if the situation, if he wanted to watch me with his wife, or he wanted to be a part of it. To this day, I don't really know. I'm sure if you asked him, he'd have no fucking recollection whatsoever. I think he was like, it was right before he maybe kind of took some time off and went and got settled. He was a wild man. But yeah, that was sort of like, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
We'll get him on the pod next and we'll ask him. So we'll figure it out next.
True Romance. Great movie.
True. Yeah. Let me know if he remembers.
Absolutely. I used to have by the way, I had that WWAD shirt back in the day. What would Avery do? That was going off like hotcakes in New York. I wore it to the Garden. You gave me a thumbs up when I was a kid. So thank you for that.
How old were you then?
Dude, I had to be like, maybe 14, 15.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I had the shirt and I was the coolest kid in school with that fucking thing. It was like a black one.
Yeah.
You look like Jesus on the shirt and it was cool. I can't find him anywhere, Sean. So if you could help me find one, I'd love to.
I think like
do you remember that shit? You had to remember that.
Yeah. Like somebody, I know whoever made them and was selling them. I think I knew them. I know the person, but I don't really remember. I don't think I was getting paid from them, but
really,
yeah.
They were cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I remember seeing them. That's for sure.
Yeah. So moving away from hockey for a bit. Look, the acting career, how's that going right now? And it sounds like it's going well. I remember a story recently you brought up on your podcast about Christian Bale, helping you when you got and correct me if I'm wrong, you got the lines the morning of, and he. A guy that wouldn't be known to do something like this, he came and helped all day. And can you speak upon Christian and what he did for you, Sean?
Yeah, so that was on this David O. Russell movie, Canterbury Glass. I'm not sure if that's going to be the title of the movie, but I got hired for a day's work. But basically it was a day, it was a scene it was me and Christian Bale in the scene predominantly, with Chris Rock and John David Washington and Ed Bedgley Sr. There might've been somebody else, like a pretty big name. Anyways, I didn't know anything really. I didn't know the story. I didn't know anything. I showed up. They put me in makeup. Like you'll see it when it comes out. They fucked me up. I was like a war general, and I had a big scar on my face and chew in my mouth. Anyways, I got the scenes, the sides that morning. So when I got to set, and I just kind of lost it. Like I just didn't fucking have it, right? Here's the good thing is that for some reason that day, the guys that I was with, as far as Russell and Bale, maybe they knew, maybe they didn't know, I don't know, but they certainly cut me some slack. And yeah, Christian Bale, I don't know, for hours, just scene after scene after scene, take after take after take. He just kept running the lines with me in between takes. He kind of like a couple of times I fucked up so bad, I just like put my hands up and was like, and said, "Oh, what the fuck," or something while we were filming, which you never, if you fuck the line up, call for a line or just make something up, but keep going.
Right.
It was one of those days. Like, I think at some point down the road, I'm going to end up working with him again in a more controlled atmosphere where I can just say to him, like, dude, you're the ultimate match, ultimate match. I mean, it would be like practicing having some guy on your fucking line that was,
didn't know the drill or something.
Yeah, like an unbelievably, like, what, just a solid player, but had no fucking, he couldn't speak English. So he didn't know what the fuck was going on. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, yeah, it was wild. It was an incredible day. And I'll get to thank him at some point, because, and that's what makes these guys them. That's what separates these guys. That's why they're great.
Yeah.
That's why they're stars.
Sean, did he know you or did he not know who?
I don't think so.
That's wild.
Maybe
man.
somebody said something to him afterward. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
But I know that he goes to Ranger games sometimes and football games and stuff. So yeah, I don't think he knew. I'm almost positive he didn't know, which makes it even cooler.
So Aves, I got to bring up your book that I read and I passed on to our dad, and he fucking was all into it. He loved it.
Yeah.
Ice Capades, a memoir of fast living and tough hockey. The thing that I love about the book is that I could feel like I'm a part of the journey with you. Everywhere you went, I mean, with your career, your fashion, everything. It's my trio of love, Sean. Hockey, fashion, and woman. That's what it's all about, baby. And you know what? And most guys that retire in the NHL, they either go to the front office, they'll be a GM, a coach, or they'll just go away. You were like, fuck it. I got all these passions I want to go after. I have my book, I have acting, I have this podcast. I love that under your umbrella, and when did you know that transition was going to come when you wanted to do all that stuff?
I mean, I think I always knew that the transition was going to come. I think when I stopped playing, I had no idea what I was going to do. All right. The book thing kind of just happened and I went with it. And it was a great experience because I think it kind of cleansed me and I could just sort of it was like burning sage. I got everything out of my system. I said what I needed to say. I told the story. I think it ended up being a very interesting story. I think there'll be a part 2 at some point, but then I got lucky and a friend put me in a movie and I was just like, fuck, this is awesome. Like, I think I want to do this. So the reason I'm saying that is I think I got lucky because I was open. My mind was open to kind of going in any different direction. But the direction that I was definitely going to go in, whichever one I picked, was going to be something that got me excited every single day to do. Right. I wouldn't have lasted like to go and work for a team in a front office, especially nowadays with the woke fucking political craziness, unless you were insulated, worked like with Stevie in Detroit, who has his own small team and nobody knows what the fuck those guys are doing and they're not involved, I would have never been able to do it. So I think I got lucky because I was open and I was willing to just kind of, do whatever. And also I think I had no ego about it. Like I'm basically 7 years into this journey of becoming an actor. And really now today, is it only at the point where I feel like it's so close to breaking open, but breaking open on a bigger scale, like, everything kind of opening up. To do that, I think it's very difficult, right? Going into acting classes, fucking just starting from the bottom, like literally starting from the bottom. So you have to be in a certain mindset. And I think that's probably, it has something to do with also the fact, like, you would never walk into my house and walk in and see in my office, and I would have pictures of me in my playing days and all that shit. Like, it's a very dangerous dance to learn the steps to. Like, you gotta fucking stay away from that stuff. So yeah, I think it's just the beginning, really. And I think that's what's exciting, because I mean, you're done playing, you're so young, you got a whole fucking lifetime ahead of you, but you have to be open. You got to be open to things.
That's great. I know. And you said it before, I think where guys get into trouble after their playing career, they get bored. And when they get bored, they do stupid shit. And, think bad things can really happen, as you've seen recently.
Yeah.
So,
time is a dangerous thing.
Yeah. And I think you've done that. And I think you can put your ego aside, starting from the bottom in this acting world. And now you're rising to the top. So talk about transitioning from Conley's, I guess, world of the podcast to now Embassy. Why, and you've mentioned it, but I want you to tell us, well, why the change, and what do you see the future looking like with this new, Embassy Row umbrella to you and in the partnership?
Yeah. So, I mean, Michael Davies is a guy that's like really kind of cut his teeth he understands how to produce and how to scale things, right? Whether it's Andy Cohen's show on Watch What Happens Live, or Davies did Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but he's also, I don't know if it's even announced yet, but he's about to do something pretty big with Amazon. The next step was to get into a situation where I had a team that was a little bit more focused, and Kevin was amazing. Kevin's the reason that I started the podcast, and Kevin's going to end up selling his company to somebody, and he's going to make money, and he's going to do what he wanted to do in the first place. I needed to get into an environment where somebody helped me kind of get into the next phase, which is more video stuff, bigger partnerships, just the next step. And it's interesting because, like, I don't necessarily like it. I liked the old way where I didn't have to do video and I could just turn on, record whenever I want, and I could book the guests, and I liked it more. I think I'm in a transition stage where I'm feeling it out. I'm getting used to it and finding the rhythm. And I think that's the smart thing to do, because really I'm doing this for it to be successful and make money. I started it as just a way to protect myself and defend myself in case the crazies came for me, like the cancel people or the whoever it is. So it's always an evolution. This whole thing is evolving. Everything is moving. If you're not evolving, you're either rich enough to not have to evolve, or I think you're not smart, right? You're not open. You're not feeling change and where that shit's coming from. So yeah, I think also you always want to, when opportunities arise where you can align yourself with people that understand how to win in a certain environment, you want to take that and trust that.
So is in this, you mentioned this cancel and stuff, and this cancel culture we live in. Look at Dave Portnoy, what he's going through, the shit that he has to deal with right now. How fucking crazy is that? And I don't, I don't
Yeah,
get
I mean,
it. I don't get it.
well, yeah, I don't get it either, but we're living in a crazy time. The thing with Portnoy is you're never going to get him because he's smart, and I don't think he's done anything that's going to warrant him getting into real trouble. So he's always going to be able to deflect, and I do actually think it makes him stronger. Each one of these he goes through. This one really hurt because they lost the gaming license in New York. Like, it was big fucking money but he'll still win, you know. I buy Penn stock. Like, no one's going to stop him. Barstool will be bigger than ESPN in 10 years. So, you know, I think that's what the beautiful thing about him, and I would also do it, is if you can fight back, you have to fight back. The people that have cowered and, like, you know, just taken the shit, you can't do it. You're never going to win that way. And that's why Dave is great. And that's why he's El Prez, you know, because, you know, you're not going to he's never going to lay down for you. So you got to live like that right now.
Sorry to interrupt. Have you and Portnoy ever linked up? Is there an opportunity to work together in the near future or in the future, Sean?
No.
Or does a desire?
Honestly, no, because when I look in that situation, I would go in. I don't know. I'll be straight up. I don't think there's anyone there outside of Dave and maybe Whitney who could actually, who I wouldn't break, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't want to have to tiptoe around to try and make something work. Like, because what you got to understand about Barstool is too, what makes it so great is these are just like regular guys, you know, Joe Schmoes who find their nice lane, and they're not overly exceptional entertainers or performers. Or now they have former professional athletes in there, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would work, but I also, you know, I never say never. And I'm always up to the challenge of, like, working with contemporaries, people that I think are as interesting as I think I am, right? Or could fucking, you know, challenge me and come at me. That's what gets me excited. I crave for that. It's tough to find. It's very tough to find.
You certainly need to keep up with Sean Avery. That's for goddamn sure. So, yeah. Cameo. What's so special about these cameos? And I mean, are the juices flowing when you're doing these things? Are you getting excited?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what's special about them is, like, it's just revolutionized, like, an industry. You know what I mean? Like the idea of an autograph. Like, if I was 10 years old and I got a fucking cameo from Brett Hall, I couldn't even imagine. I would have died. Like, I would have died. Now there's this medium where, like, people can talk to their idols, or, you know, or they can just do funny shit and, like, pick random people. Like, it's amazing. In one breath, technology is so dangerous, and then the other, it's so beautiful because it gives opportunities to do things like this. I love doing them. They're fun. There's an actual art to it and a skill. Yeah, I love doing them. It's literally my favorite thing to do.
You see the cameos, the NFTs. It's just this world evolving with technology and you know, social media. So it's awesome that you're adapting with it. And same thing with NFTs; those are coming as well.
Yeah,
you know?
No, I know.
Dusty, anything for Sean?
Yeah, thanks again. I'm the producer, so I only get one question.
Yeah, Dust.
But you've been able to work with, like, some great directors already early in your career, with Christopher Nolan, David O. Russell that you just mentioned, and then Pete Berg, who I love. Friday Night Lights is one of my favorite shows, movies, and then Heavyweights too, classic. But like, where do you kind of see your career going? Like, what kind of avenue do you want to go in? Do you want to be like the Christian Bale, who's like the main lead, who's, you know, doing the big movies once a year or every couple of years, or are you kind of just grabbing everything you can? Like, what do you envision yourself within the industry?
Yeah, so like I'm in a weird spot. It's kind of a unique spot, I'll say this, because usually somebody in my situation, when I have big agents, I have like big Hollywood agents, right? So what happens with me now is when I audition and you know, in the last 4 months, everything has changed. I audition for everything now and I audition a lot, but I only audition for big roles, right? Like, you know, definitely leading roles, like supporting roles, but first 10 on the call sheet type roles. The problem is that I haven't worked, right? I don't have a lot of credits. So although, and basically what I'm seeing is happening now over the last 2 months, I know that if I get an audition, there's basically a 50% chance I'm going to get a call back, because I'm in a sweet spot now where I know how to audition, and they're getting fucking good, right? What's happening now is I'm not booking the jobs because they're still going with the other guy because the other guy has credits, because we just, you know, that's the way this fucking business works. It's going to take the right person to make the right call, and it's going to be the right role, and then everything's going to break open. And I say that because now the stuff that I audition for isn't like, I don't audition for like a one line in a movie type thing. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen with a specific director or producer. When are you going to stump this up? We need this. We need that. A specific role, and then it kind of breaks open. But I'll work as much as I can, right? I'll work on good shit, and I'll also try and work with the best. You want to work with the best, with the most interesting, amongst the best actors, right? In the most challenging situations. Yeah, that's the way to do it. And I'll say this, here's the thing. If I booked like a CW show, I don't even know if I would do it, right? Like you know, then you're on that show for the next 4 years. Like would I do Riverdale? Honestly, I don't think I would do Riverdale. I would rather go 2 more years without, you know, breaking it open than doing Riverdale for the next 4 or 5. So I'm feeling good, and I think I'm excited for where it's about to go.
Yeah, we're excited for it. You can see I was doing my research before this with your podcast. It just popped up. And you even see the director of Boiler Room, who you just interviewed, how he got his start, you know, in the diner, and they saw him. And, you know, and with him, I loved it. And that could be, you know, not the same thing, but Jesus, look how it got going for him. Just someone took a chance, you know?
Yeah. But by the way, I almost got a great part with Ben on this. He just directed a couple episodes on Snowfall, but it came down to it where the showrunner went with a guy that just had more credits, right? It was just that, and it's fine, because it's all about to change, and you know, that's part of the process. It's part of the process, and that's what makes it great, especially when it happens, because it'll feel even better.
It's coming, Sean, and the catch of ball is about to open for you. I feel it. The brothers feel it. In winding down here, and being respectful of your time, you know, I always ask this. I know Corey's gonna probably ask you one more question as well. Same with Dusty, but you know, you've had a hell of a career, and you have a career that's about to start. It's interesting. You know, you're almost like you're reborn, you know, and you're making an impact on a lot of people's lives, including mine, especially through this fucking crazy year we just had. What is the lasting impression? I always ask this to our guests, that you want to leave on this earth. You know, what are people going to remember Sean Avery by? What's the legacy of the Avery name when you're no longer here, to your family? And what are they going to remember you by, basically, when you're not here anymore, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I think people will listen when I win a Golden Globe, and it really sinks into everybody, and they go, whoa, this is crazy what he pulled off. Like, you know, because not a lot of guys pull this off. The guys that do it are generally massive supers, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Terry Bradshaw. You know, there's you can count on two fucking hands how many guys have done it. Transition from being like a real professional athlete to a real working actor. That's what I think is interesting. And that's what I think is so exciting about it. And it's also so difficult. And that's why it's taking time. But it's just interesting, you know? So I want two interesting bodies of work, right? I'm going to have, it's just this weird sort of landscape that's all going to kind of come together.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, all these passions you have going after, it's truly inspiring. I mean, we've been following it, and obviously with us doing the podcast and everything else, it's, you know, you have to go after it. Fuck the outcome of fearing it.
Yeah.
What people think, you fucking go. I've
Yeah.
been telling the boys that, you know, we're gonna go to the moon together, Sean. So let's fucking go.
I love it.
We are in the Manscaped family, Sean, so we got to stick together, you know.
I love it.
You know.
But Aves, I want to bring up, you know, we have Ducks tickets, we have club seat tickets, glass seats. Come on down and enjoy a goddamn game. Let's grab
Come
dinner
on.
and have some fun.
Get down to Orange County. Get down to Orange County.
Let's
Enough's
go.
enough.
I will. I'll look at the schedule and I'll pick a game and I'll figure it out.
You're gonna pick Tampa Bay. I already know you're gonna pick it. Come on.
Yeah, probably. You're right.
We'll host. We'll get you a nice dinner at Solani Steakhouse in Laguna too with the family.
Yes,
We'll get it
listen,
going, all
teammate.
right?
I appreciate it, fellas.
Of
I
course.
appreciate it.
Dusty. One
No.
last thing for Avery.
Yeah, just thanks for the time. And I guess it would be kind of funny if, you know, you're on set and you bring that hockey mentality and you start dropping the gloves, I don't know, with like Shia LaBeouf, or he's canceled, but Gary Oldman or something, you know? You
Knock
Shy-
somebody out.
Shia, he'll be back. He'll be back.
No, I
He's
know.
He's too fucking good. Not
He's
I
to.
know.
too talented. But,
Yeah.
he is
Yeah.
great. And no, great. Like, dude, it's because you are so early on in your career and you've already been able to work with these directors. It's insane. But people don't see the other stuff where you are getting all the no's until you get the one yes that kind of puts you on the map.
Yeah.
It's a fickle business, Hollywood. But
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, it breaks people. The ones that make it are the ones that don't get broken by it, right? They can fucking push through. So that's what's fun.
yeah, when Petey Berg does another Mark Wahlberg movie, just say, don't do Wahlberg, put me in it instead.
Well, I think his days with hopefully he doesn't. Him and Wahlberg take some time off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
They've had a good run, but I think it's time to wrap that up.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And Dusty wouldn't say it, but he just graduated from USC Film. So if you need a runner, a light guy, or sound guy, Dusty's your guy. If you need help, get some coffee
Nice.
for you, Sean. Just shoot us an email. He'll come help out.
Easy coffee.
You
I've done my
you
dues.
gotta pay your dues. You gotta pay your dues.
I've already paid my dues.
Yeah, he's got to he just went to film school. He's not gonna have to go.
All right.
No, for you, Aves, of Uncle
Aves,
Avery.
just- Uncle Aves calls Dusty. You got to get it going. Come on.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, guys.
Sean, thank you so much. And we'll be
Thanks,
talking
fellas.
to you soon, okay?
Thanks,
All right,
Aves.
guys.
Enjoy the
Good job.
family as well. Enjoy the family.
Nice
all right?
job.
Thanks, man.
Take
See ya.
care.
Bye.